Hi and welcome to this video. My name is Stefan and I will show you a new way to track videos for Blender. I know that Cgmatters created this summer a plugin called Camera Tracker and use photogrammetry. In that video he also showed a free way to use or accomplish the same thing with a program called Colmap, which is an academic software for photogrammetry, which is totally open source and free, so that's great. Then Polyfjord did a video on how to use Colmap as a standalone system, and you could feed it with videos and it produced directories with extracted images. And then a week later he did an update and using the same program, but in one phase he changed it to a program called Glomap instead of using Colmap's sequential mapper, which sped up the whole thing 4 times circus. So I took those two solutions and also based on the plugin my own version of it, which is more slick and a bit simpler, because I just want to use Blender to render out frames from a video to a directory and then run it. I don't need the extra facility that Polyfjords gave by giving it a video and itself extract. Fine for beginners, but also very important to note is that Polyfjord does not use or does not undistort images afterwards, which I think is critical for any kind of work with photogrammetry or camera tracking. Also, he had problem with the animation not aligning, and I think it has to do with this. But let's start. So in this zip file, if you unzip it, you have Blender 3.6.23, which is the latest Blender version for older systems, and the 4.5.3 for the newest one. Why do I have Blender in here? Because you need a program or a plugin called photogrammetry plugin, which is pre-installed in those two Blender versions. And then we have the Glomap, which is the main directory for the whole thing. And it is free, as I said. Zip archive is all files unpacked and installed also in its raw zip file version. Especially the photogrammetry version, we have one called 3x, and that is of course for 3x blenders, and 4x is for newer Blender versions. Then we have Glomap with CUDA support and without CUDA support, and we also have Colmap with Windows no CUDA support and with CUDA support. For some reason, Polyfjord at least claimed that, or noticed that it doesn't seem to matter which version you use. It doesn't use the GPU anyway, but the one I have installed is the CUDA version because it doesn't matter. So I took the safe before the unsafe. Okay, sorry, that was directed too fast. Now let's see how this system works. So we can open Blender 5 or Blender 4, sorry, and the exporter. And now I want to go to open this, and I will go to my F drive where I have iPhone videos, and I will pick a video that looks like this, and I now press this, then we have 440, copy and paste it, but it was already there, so it doesn't matter because I did this a couple of times. The output directory is already set to scenes and file number files, or file name is file number digits, so that's perfect. Also, I can mention here I have a scale. If you set the resolution to something else like 4K or so, or you have a 4K and you want it in 1080p, it scales it. If you want to do some exposure checking or curve fixing, you can have that. This one deserves a little bit of an explanation, because by splitting it into RGB and then back again, it appears that Blender totally bypass the problem with long loops that H.264, H.265, DSLR footage has, and also Chroma 422 or 420 subsampling to the much better and cleaner way. So it's a free gift. So let's just render this out now. And it is this phase I want to have myself, not having to put videos in a folder and then the program do things without my control. That is not nice at all. But we are different, so if you like it, that's okay with you. And this is not so long. So now it's done. Now we can shut down Blender for now. No saving. So the main program to run, or main file to run, is Tracker. Resume is for special cases which I might come back to later. But basically it is, if I do step 1 and 2 and need to stop, I can press resume and it begin with step 3 again. Tracker always start with the first step. And I will now start the tracker, and then I will be back when it is done. So then we are back again. Before we do anything more in Blender, let me show you one thing here. In scenes we now have sparse and undistorted, and what is very important is that in undistorted images we have perspective corrected and lens corrected images that we now must use, otherwise we will have a problem. And as I said before, Polyfjords don't use this step, and I think that is why he has problem importing images in the solve. So that was one thing, and then we have run log here. If we look at Glomap, that is the one who is responsible for the longest part of the compilation or tracking, and it started 23:37 and ended 23:48, so basically 10 minutes with us doing absolutely nothing. It's ingenious. Okay, let's now go into Blender and see what we got here. I will use Blender 4.5, but it doesn't really matter. So we open it and go to File, Import, and we go to Colmap Models Workspace. And then we go to our solve, which is Glomap checker, and scenes undistorted, and then we go down to, I used to select one for OpenGL image or pixel size, and here I used to set 5.6 we can have, and that is the size of the point cloud. And we open it like so. So this red ones is how we moved our camera when I walked around, but I really don't have any use for it. So what we can do, and this is a tip from Polyfjord, go down, delete hierarchy. So now we need to click that one and press Control 0 so we get it as active camera, and for some reason this animation sets or import sets start to 0, but it should be 1. And I also will do some other things, but first we need to align this solve, because now it looks very weird. And I think I will scale this up a bit so it's a bit easier to see. So, and before I do anything, always apply scale, and we can click on this camera. We can click it here actually. So, and we can go to camera, and we can go to viewport, and we can set it to 6. So now it's a bit bigger. Okay, let's click animated camera and hold down shift and click down here, control and press empty, and now parent. So now I can basically just rotate this and everything follows. And I found that the best way to do it is to go to right front, rotate it so I have it pretty good aligned. Now we need to know how this was shot, and I think that is pretty good, and this is not exactly so. Now this is the floor, so I want the floor to be at the level here. So now we can look from it at the top as well, and as we can see it's pretty rotated, so I can rotate it like this on the z-axis, just to get it a bit more aligned with so, and we can also go a bit so. Now we have this aligned with the floor at x, y, and z 0. But now we can also do, or I like to do it like so, turn off this one and zoom in, and we can see that this is clearly the tabletop, and this is the bench, and it is not exactly straight either, so I can try to level it up a bit, like so maybe. But now we have to place our objects here. So what I found worked good is to select the wireframe and X-ray, and now I will go in, select it, go into edit mode, deselect, and now we can see we have a lot of noise here, but this is clearly the tabletop. So what I just want to do is to do it like so, and because we had it in X-ray mode, we will now have a big chunk of it selected like this as well. So Shift S and cursor to selected. So, now we have the cursor in the middle of the thickness or volume of this. So let's now turn that off as well. We can go from top. We can now add plane. Sorry, we cannot do that at all. Now we can add a plane. So we can go back to solid mode, and now we can click here, and we can make this actually two windows. We can have a smaller one there. So we can make this an layout as well. So now we can move this along the table, and we can move it like this. We can S, X, Y, X, and we can take S, Y, and we can go Y, so just a bit so, and of course always apply scale. So now if we play this, we can see that this sticks absolutely perfect to our table, and that without doing anything manual in the scan or in the tracking part. Just give Colmap the frames, run tracker CMD and import it. But to prove that this works good, we will do like so as well. Check that we have cycles, and we will go to this one to set visibility and set shadow catcher, and we will now go into this mode and add light, sunlight. Sorry, go C, so. We can go like so and rotate it like so, and make sure that we have for view depth here that we have a scene light and scene lights and scene work. Yeah. And now we can look at it this way, and we need of course something on it. So why don't take the Blender standard, the monkey YZ1. Now let's see, and now we have actually a shadow, but I want her much smaller, so let's see if we can go so, yeah. And we now, why don't I have the camera on? Why don't I have the of course, there is always something that is going to be so devastating. Okay, let's do it like this then. So let's go back to Glomap checker, scenes, and distort images. Okay, it absolutely don't want to know about that. Why does it do that? Okay, there it does it. All right. But then I don't get the shadows. Okay, well, anyway, you see what I mean with how to align the model and so on. So basically, if I now would like to align, we can actually parent the monkey to that one. So, and if I now turn this on, say I want to have it tracked or aligned to something else, like the bench here, we can go into so, and we can get x-rays and so, and then we can just mark these ones like so, Shift S and cursor selected, so we can turn this off. Now I can take this and selection to cursor, yep. Let's see if we play it, if we can see where it ended up. Yeah, you can see it's sticked all right there. So with that in mind, that we don't need to do anything, this is amazing, and it's easy to figure out where things will go. So thank you for watching this video, and I will leave the link to both Cgmatters plugin video and both Polyfjords videos, and the link to where you can download this zip file with all these files available. I will go through it one more time, I think, just so you really know where to look. So Blender 3.6.23 is the last Blender file I found on Blender's download pages for the old graphic system, and 4.5.3 is the newest. Cloud Compare is more if you want to view the cloud for some reason. The div is an image sequence viewer, very powerful and so. Glomap is the Colmap plus Glomap combined into one directory, and it is currently the Windows CUDA version in there, but it is not clear whether it uses the CUDA or not, just because it's enabled, but I found it safer to have that installed, because if it for some reason use it, we have it. And since that's the one where we have the sparse and undistorted, so we've been through that one. Zip archive is simply all files included in their original packages. If you want to play on your own, or just want to import the photogrammetry in a Blender setup you already use. So we have the Colmap 3.12.6, that's from mid-September 2025, so it's sprinkling new. It's the no CUDA and the CUDA version, and the same is Glomap. It's Windows CUDA and Windows no CUDA. And then the photogrammetry map for photogrammetry for 3x Blender and 4x Blenders. So then we have CMD MP3, and CMD MP3 Win is just an MP3 player for command line which plays these files, which is just for an audio verification in what phase your tracking is, if you want to have it. And here's the shortcuts to respective Blender. And this is for the other two programs. Now run log, let's open that and see. So we have here stats for the model, how many errors we have, which is pretty corresponding to what we have in Blender's tracker, that we should try to be under 1, but sometimes we can't. Points is how many 3D points we were able to extract. Registered images should be the same as the number of images we have. Up here we have start time, and all times are start time, so if you want to calculate how long things takes, you need to go to the entry below to calculate that. So extracting and matching is pretty fast. It's the Glomap, as you saw, took a long time. So, and undistorted didn't take so long. So in this case, we have 37 to 48 is 11 minutes. That's pretty fast, doing nothing. Great. So this will be downloadable as well, link in the description box. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy this package. It was a pleasure doing it for you folks, and I spent better part of 4 weeks trying to figure out how to configure it. But finally I found some flags that I was not using, that the plugin from Cgmatters used, that always worked, but mine didn't. But I was able to extract it, and then mine started to work as well. So goodbye and happy blending, happy tracking.